type, identity that we have, and what does that mean when we die? I just think all those questions about AI, that you have to think like 4 or 5 steps ahead are really interesting to figure out this technology and what kind of regulation and ethics.
I was going to say maybe there's an interesting factor which is timing, similar to what happened with the pandemic and the switch to remote job, with what's happening with the massive layoffs and ChatGPT coming to automatize a lot of these things. What's going to happen with all of those positions that got liquidated, got cut off, and at the same time you have this new technology that can do a big part of that work. So I think that's an interesting point in time.
Well, just as of recently, even though it's a very common, even advice that you get, information all over the place, what I've learned even more than this common advice that you see all over the place is that you can never be prepared 100% for what's going to happen. And this is starting from where you pick your funds, where you invest your money, or even what we expect from the market, from different perspectives. One we pointed out, which was the recession. The second one, it's actually the opportunity, so we get on the positive side as well. Why so? Because trends are changing. So as my colleagues here mentioned, right now we are on, let's say, a trend line for AI that was not so prominent in the past year or years, especially. Now you've seen all over the place. Conclusion on that is to still try to keep the pace with the market, stay informed as much as possible, even more than trying to guess what's going to happen, because guessing, we've seen it a lot of times is not a solution, especially in Web3 where things are moving so fast. So yeah, I'm learning on a daily basis the fact that you are never prepared 100%. You have to stay informed and keep the pace with the market. Kyrylo?
Yeah, I think from the macroeconomy back to the local specifics, I think it's going to be quite tough for the next couple of years in terms of the regulatory compliance, because the regulators themselves, they're a very complicated situation right now. So from one side, they would like to continue crypto adoption, but from another side, what happened last year is like super risky for every country and for every regulator. So I think that the things that are happening in the US will continue to other major economies in Europe as well. So there's going to be like a maximum scrutiny from the regulators, maximum controls, and even potential some more tough decisions that regulators will need to make. So I guess this is going to be the main challenge, how to continue the crypto adoption in this high level of uncertainty.
I also have some thoughts on this. So when coming to adoption, at least from my perspective, we only see it increasing in the past period. So despite the challenges that we have all over the place, we see the adoption increasing almost on a daily basis. We've seen countries adopting technologies like cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and so on. We've seen states, when coming to the United States, some of the states are already accepting paying the fees in Bitcoin and so on. We've seen companies, big companies, adopting these kind of technologies. So no matter what the challenges we face from time to time, especially big ones, the adoption is here and it's increasing almost on a daily basis, starting from the people all the way up to big companies, states, countries, and so on. So from my perspective, once again, this cannot be anything else than a good sign.
Yeah, I agree with that, and also I think the last events that happened, it's kind of boosting this adoption, because if you think about now moving from fiat to crypto because it looks safer, that should be the contrary until 2 weeks ago, and I think now the paradigm is different, because from the previous cycle, right now a new user that starts to buy Bitcoin, for example, can enter this world and plenty of tools on doing actually financial operation, whether you want to do it centralized or even decentralized. So these users are now actually, the retainment rate is going to be higher than the previous cycle. And that's going to boost the adoption, in my opinion, because you actually see that it's not just anymore crypto as an alternative investment, but actually you see that there is an entire industry, there is an entire financial system that you can use, and you are not ruled by your government. You can actually be really the owner of your assets and your operation.
Yeah, well, yes and no, because you say that the crypto adoption increases, but there is not even a proper fiat channel in Romania to put the crypto on ramp and off ramp. So, and I think it's going to be even more complicated with the regulators and the central bank getting more and more attention. And I think that the risk appetite of the banks and other licensed players is going to be even lower, so that's the problem. However, from the positive side of things, the unfortunate events can drive the crypto adoption. So, for example, I'm Ukrainian, and with the war happening in Ukraine, crypto has shown the new purpose of serving people, of doing the charity, crypto donations, easy to move your capital across the globe, easy to support the families, and with how the banks works, it would take months or even years to make all these transactions that are now happening within seconds. So that's like this unfortunate events is giving the crypto new types of the adoption. Yeah.
Really good to hear that. Yes, it's really something for good, and you can really see the benefits of it really quickly, right?
I was going to say that not only it's the good examples, but I think the most recent event, which was the USDC DPEG, which was something unfortunate and caused a lot of panic, actually validated the stablecoin and the reserves, because Circle, the company that issued USDC, had 10% of their reserves in Silicon Valley Bank. So when the bank was shut down, the market immediately priced in that cashless loss, and that was the same, not the same amount, but it was proportional to the DPEG. So it wouldn't have made sense if USDC had not DPEG, because that cash was actually locked out. If I'm saying myself correctly. So it was a good thing that it DPEG and validated that there's actual reserves, and this is what that's the value of the one-to-one.
What were your first thoughts one Saturday morning when everyone was, sorry to say so, freaking out?
Yeah, so we have that recency bias, and I think the first thing that came to my mind was UST, because I lost a lot of money on that. But this was a completely different case, and it was a banking issue. It had nothing to do directly with Circle, and I think what they showed is that it was good how, I think they have 10 banking partners, and they have distributed the reserves, so that is good. And but immediately I did get a little bit scared of that. But
Again, because to my mind, do you think this could happen again soon? What's stopping this happening again?
There was just a study done. There were 186 banks that were like regional banks, and those have been the ones that have been under pressure ever since it started. So not the Chase, and I know I'm speaking from the U.S., close to my cover, but Chase and Wells Fargo and Citi and Bank of America, the big banks, they seem okay. It's these regional banks that are in trouble, and the study just came out yesterday. Almost 200 banks are in danger of going through the same thing that happened with Silicon Valley Bank. So it looks like it could get, we could see some more of this.
And I think that one key difference between, for example, startups that raise their money and they choose to keep their money that's in Silicon Valley Bank versus crypto startups or USDC, there's two different scenarios, because the ones that keep it in the bank and the bank gets shut down, it's kind of a 0 to 100% of the money that they can get back. Whereas the ones that had it in USDC, they could have cashed out at the DPEG price. So let's say it was 90 cents on the dollar. So it was just a different perspective on where to allocate cash if you put something proportional between bands and musicians.
I can confirm that because I mean we are a crypto startup and Silicon Valley Bank is one of the few that will support crypto projects. So when you open a bank account, you don't have that much of choice, or you can even split your treasury into different banks to reduce the risk. So I wouldn't like to be in the trousers of those that have their account there. But I had on USDC, right? So before that day, we felt USDC is the best stablecoin that we could keep it. Even we were converting before all of our USDT into USDC. And now you also feel like maybe I should also differentiate the stablecoin I use.
Certainly, let's rethink a little bit about our actions, what we're doing, where we're keeping our money. Just to let you know, in just a couple of minutes, I'll be opening it up to you, the audience. I'd love to hear what you think, your key takeaways, or any questions that you have, or anything you want to challenge. I keep saying that word challenging, but that's it's nice to hear. Nice to be challenged. Well, it's not always nice to be challenged, but it's kind of entertaining, isn't it? I'd love to hear if you want to challenge any of our panelists as well. Okay, going back to something that Jane mentioned in terms of the last panel, the idea of after we've gone, that what's left, right? What's left of us, avatars. I mean, right now, again, our LinkedIn account, our social media, when we pass away, not quite sure what happens with that kind of just stays, but going further, one step further into kind of an avatar state, which is really kind of almost represents so much more about you rather than just a page on a social media account. What are your thoughts on that? It got me thinking. Love to hear what you think.
I think it's a little strange. Maybe I'm just too old and I can't quite, but I feel like we kind of should let nature take its course in some ways and not let technology rule everything about being human.
Well, from my perspective, it's like, I will have a joke right now. Like, you see lots of traders on Twitter saying that it is not going up, it's going down, and so on. So, when coming to AI, digital avatars, and so on, it can be seen from two perspectives, one positive and one less positive, does not say negative perspective. Let's stay on the positive side, though. What I can foresee, for at least for the near future, is that we will go next step when coming to how we present ourselves into the digital world, because right now we have the tools and the possibilities to be present into multiple meetings, for example, thanks to an AI-generated avatar having only text as an input. So I can basically be on the screen right now with my digital avatar, and any of you can control that only with text. So I can basically speak in here about laying in bed or being present into another meeting like this one, or maybe you can join meetings on Google Meet, Zoom, and so on, where you have 20 people from different parts of the world, like Germany, Italy, US, and so on. And you can use your digital avatar to translate into those folks' native language, whatever you say. For example, myself, I'm born in Romania, so I speak in Romanian and English. I won't be able to speak in German, for example, but thanks to these kind of tools, I can express myself in my native language, actually. I don't even need English. And you would basically hear it in your own native language in real time. So the possibilities are endless when coming to only a digital avatar. It's small when you name it, a digital avatar, but it's big when coming to opportunities, use cases, and the paths that are just opening as of now. So I'm foreseeing good opportunities, good, let's say, most probably good approach from the communities and people and so on. But
yeah, what you just said, I think it sounds like it's what you just said is more to do with the connection and the communication and the opportunities that provides, which is really good and is developing really well. However, if we move on to the kind of representation of ourselves that is moving into a really sort of broader sense, and then one step further, when the real us, let's say the real us, when the physical human us is no more, what happens then to that representation, right? Where are we going? I don't know the answer to that, but and by your looking by your face, you really don't care either. But that's okay.
I think that.
Well, it doesn't really concern you.
No, it's like the technology evolves so fast that we can't really forecast what's going to happen in a few years. A few years ago, I wouldn't expect that the world would be like that. So that's why, and not concerning me, I think we are human, so we are a machine that can adapt.
Yeah, and maybe we should all just, a lot of us just focus on present, focus on now, and embrace that, and then the other things that happen, think about it another time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what will happen in the long period of time, but I know what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Interesting things happening, of course, but I think we should not be too excited or too concerned about what's happening right now, but rather keep on building, right? Everyone who's doing the new project, the startups, regulation, or the services, just keep on building the good, user-focused, community-driven products, and jointly as the industry we can finally get to the mass crypto adoption.
Absolutely. Right, what we're doing now is switch over to you, the audience. I believe we have somebody coming round, my colleague with a microphone, fantastic. And what I'm going to pass out to you is either one of two things. You can either ask a question, challenge one of our panelists, or think about the question for you. One sentence, one or two sentences, the thing that you will take away the most, thing that you have found most valuable, beneficial over these last 2 days here at the event.
Question for Kyrylo. First of all, Slava Ukraini. Can you develop more the use case of crypto during the war, Kyrylo, please?
Yeah, sure. That's an absolutely amazing thing. So when the war started, there was a lot of the charity organizations that wanted to donate to Ukraine, but the banks were not accepting these payments. I mean, in order to send the SWIFT payment to the country, you are getting through so much challenges. And there was also no local charity organizations operating in Ukraine. There were just, big global organizations. So Ukrainian government has created a charity platform in one day. And this charity platform get $50 million within the first week to help people and to cover the immediate needs. I would imagine it would take months to build the proper channels. And also in Binance, we have created the Binance Refugee Card. It's a special card for the people that were forced to leave their homes. So basically from Ukraine, 10 million people left the country. And these people, some of them has money and some of them were having nothing with them. And they had to be in shelters, etc. So we have created this card for Ukrainians abroad, and we're donating them 75 BUSD every month to support the ones that were really in need. And we didn't need to meet them, we didn't need to sign anything with them, that was very easy. And And another one very briefly is that the Ministry of Digital, with Binance, has created the IT generation project. So that's the financing people who couldn't keep their jobs and were moved out of their homes and could only work remotely now. So there is a couple of thousands people that are re-educated to get the IT professions and be able to work remotely and support their families.
And one more very short, with your permission. What can we do as a tech community to help you more, guys?
That's to me also. Well, no, that's a lot of the very good things happening in terms of the crypto adoption. That's the proper charity organization. That's a lot of the companies who are exiting Russia, who are supporting Ukrainian sector, Ukrainian IT, and the IT sector is growing very fast, and the charity is growing very fast, and the donations are growing very fast. So I think there is a lot of developments, and this is giving the example for all the world. So after the earthquake in Turkey, basically the Ukrainian model were used to quickly drop the money directly to people, not to some charity organization, and they can get support straight away.
Just one thing, so you mentioned the Binance card for Ukrainians that are forced to flee. So this is recorded. If let's say when this is actually online, somebody who's connected to somebody from Ukraine that doesn't know about the card, what do they have to do?
So the refugee card project is finished already. So we have covered most of the people that moved, because it's been more than a year now. So this project is finished. We have supported more than 15,000 families with this donation.
Right, okay. Filip, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question for Miss King. It's regarding SEC and Gary Gensler. They were saying that they were not approving the Bitcoin ETF, the spot ETF, for the last 3 years or something. They refused ARC, refused Grayscale, and they were saying because it's too risky for the retail. So how is this answer right now after Signature Bank fell, after Silicon Valley Bank fell, and after Credit Suisse fell? So, and First Republic Bank is 97% down. Isn't this too risky, and how is SEC dealing with that? And how is Bitcoin riskier than these banks failing?
So I think, Gary Gensler, head of the SEC, former MIT professor, taught blockchain classes. So when he became head of the SEC, a lot of us were like, oh, we've got somebody finally in government who understands blockchain. And he kind of turned a little bit and wasn't totally supportive. A lot of people have been disappointed with him. I think what's happening right now is that they're just trying to stem this flow before it gets worse in the banks. So it's kind of like they're just trying to plug the flood and distribute the money. You know, you saw probably that the big banks, there were 11 banks that donated anywhere I think between 1.5 to 5 billion to First Republic Bank, another one of these regional banks based in San Francisco. That also is, since that happened, that stock has been down. So I think they're trying to deal with that, and the crypto stuff is on the back burner right now. It's not being dealt with. I don't feel like very many people in Washington understand it, and nobody really wants to kind of put their neck out. There's been some proposals, but those really haven't gone anywhere. There's always been some other emergency that's popped up that's kept it from being done.
Okay, we because of time, unfortunately, that's been a theme throughout the 2 days. Really, that we have so much to share, and we have so little time to do it even though we have like 20 minutes, 40 minutes, or even more over different panels. But just before we wrap up now on this very last session, if I was to ask you just kind of one sentence that kind of describes your experience here, and what would you say? So just one sentence that you would share with us. And also remember, this is recorded, so people that are watching this online, there'll be who weren't here, thinking about perhaps visiting or joining us on another edition, or just to give them a flavour of what this is all about. Because people can see video, they can see pictures, they can see video clips, but they don't really always know what the vibe is here. What would you say? So one sentence.
Romania has amazing IT talent and great potential to become a center of the blockchain, at least in the Central and Eastern Europe. So very important country for us, and congratulations on your progress. We will continue supporting.
Great.
Yeah, for me, I travel to many conferences, and anytime, so it's pretty close here, and it's fantastic to see a first conference organized at this level. So definitely, if you're watching next year, you should watch live. So thanks to this.
Bogdan.
From my perspective, would be the experience of belonging. So most of the times, I would say, when I'm joining this kind of events, it's all about the experience of belonging. Not only from my perspective, but how I feel the people around me are as well. So they should feel involved in whatever is happening in this kind of events.
My first time in Romania. I love it. We've had a great time, not just at the conference, but seeing the city. And I just feel like now's the time to build and grind, and this will break at some point. I don't know when, but I think it will.
Yeah, no, me too, first time. I'm very appreciative to be here. It's great to see such a good attendance at this time in the market because I've been part of different events and sometimes you go and the rooms are half empty, things like that. But it's good to see people really passionate, really committed, active in building, connecting, meeting new people. So it's great to see that here.
Fully agree. I mean, from my perspective, it's something that shapes and manages stages on global stages around the world. And coming here, not the first time, but certainly on a Sunday, I could not believe more than 1,000 people were here in attendance. And that is in attendance, not just tickets that were bought and not coming. Everybody seemed to buy a ticket and they were here on a Sunday is amazing. And also the open-mindedness and also the vibe outside in terms of the conversations. I always say at the beginning of an event, you know, the conversations are really important, aren't they? Really important to connect. And even if you don't make business, let's say now, it's a connection that grows over time and then hopefully that will make business, right? Or make better business. So the conversations and the open-minded that I felt certainly in the different areas, exhibition area and outside, while people were having coffee was amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Kyrylo, Jane, José, Benedetto and Bogdan on our last Well, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to listen, I have to say, that was the last session of our 2 days. Again, if I ask you the things that